is to create environments.
Maison كله is very different to any store بنشوفه بالذات في مصر يعني.
That welcomes people every day, that make people feel something. If you want to build something, believe enough in it and build the skill set to make it happen. When we opened Bascota, the flagship store, there was so much level details.
النهارده معانا a very very special episode والحقيقه الابسود دي انا بقالي فتره عايز افلمت. احنا النهارده في مكان معظمنا تلاقينا اتصورنا فيه او على الاقل وقفنا في طوابير عشان نتصور فيه. احنا النهارده في ميزون 69 ومعانا امير فايو.
What's the name of your podcast?
The Nobody Asked Podcast.
You know, I never knew what was called.
هو عشان زمان لما كنت بفضل اهلي يقولوا لي اعمل حاجه وانا صغير طفل عبيط يعني، كنت دايما بيقولوا لي مثلا روح اعمل كده، اقول لهم محدش سال. طبعا كنت باخد على دماغي عشان طفل قليل الادب يعني، بس في الاخر سميتها The Nobody Asked Podcast والسلوجن بقى The Nobody Asked Podcast. وليه سميتها كده؟ عشان ما حدش بيسال بس انا بحب اسال.
And the reason why I didn't know the name, it's not to undermine the value of it خالص, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because I like the element of naivety in approaching a conversation.
Okay.
If I looked what it was called, if I saw any of the episodes, I would have already created a pre-connotation of what's going to happen.
Okay.
And that takes away from the fun of what we're going to do.
ما انت قلت لي ان انت you don't want this to be a boring podcast, you want it to be no filter that's what we're gonna go for يعني.
I believe that's the value for people.
No filter.
Yes.
طب يعني do you not think in perception او ان انت يكون عندك a first impression موجودة already دي حاجة مهمة؟ انك انت تبقى عارف at least what you're going into. مش بتكلم في البودكاست، انا بتكلم عامة in life يعني.
You know what? I learned something early on, I think like 12 years ago when I started working in New York City. People usually advise me to Google people before I meet them. And I realized it doesn't work for me. Because when I Google them, I already create ideas and thoughts and understanding of who they are, which is important sometimes, but it takes away from my truth. It takes away from my vulnerability in a conversation. And even if it's a business, at least, I'm not saying I'm going to go in a dark room in a business conversation. I will know at least if they already approached me and we're having a meeting, at least I will know the topic. But I wouldn't Google them and know their narrative and go into their LinkedIn and know where they have been working 7 years ago. It doesn't add much to me. In the contrary, it takes away from my authentic self in a meeting or in a conversation.
فانت you like ان انت to have your first impression عن حد اصلا when you first initially meet them يعني.
I like to allow people to give me their own story.
Okay.
Not to make my own judgment of their story before meeting them.
So do you think in the first impressions last?
Say the question again.
Yeah, when you first meet someone and you don't Google them, where you have an interaction معهم and then you make an assumption or you have an interpretation عن البني آدم ده. Do you think that's an important part of...
If I'm very present in that moment and in that meeting, in that conversation, it's never first impression. It becomes an impression. Because it's not I'm judging on the first 7 seconds of the conversation. I think when I'm spending 45 minutes with you, I have enough point of references in my life, at least to tell me, do I enjoy spending that time with you or not? And that's enough judgment to start with.
Okay. For you, how long?
Some people call it first impression. For me, first impression is the first second that the mind creates an impression on someone. That I don't relate to. Because we're humans of perception. I see you, I'm evaluating already what you're wearing. I saw you, I told like you're so tall. You know what I mean? And I told the camera people, make him shorter, make me taller.
لا مش بيقولوا كده بقى قدام البودكاست يفهموش.
No, it's the truth. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a matter of not the first impression. It's how I feel about you in a conversation. Okay. Because all these things can create judgments and perceptions that's not right. Because we all have way more than how we look and how we dress and how we talk.
Okay. And we were talking about this يعني before we started the podcast in first impressions is based يعني the way ان انت بتبص على حد و you evaluate شخصيتهم is based on your own experiences. Do you think ان دي حاجة that changes over time أصلا؟
No, we're all a tank of information. احنا كلنا we are wallets and containers of adding more and more layers. I am a person after that conversation, I would leave with another layer in me. Because I exchanged something with you. You said something I don't know. So you added something to me. And from that, I became not someone else, but someone plus what I experienced in those 20 minutes.
Okay. Do you think إن إحنا we're humans of يعني إحنا لما interact, we exchange informations ولا we exchange emotions ولا is it a mix of both?
I think we exchange everything. Two humans are two containers of things. And that exchange becomes on every level. It depends on the dynamics of the conversation. It depends on the intention of the conversation. And actually, I will ask you that question. Why are we here?
We're here to inspire people.
With what?
With your journey, your life story, Ashin. It's very fascinating. I'm sure a lot of people can...
What is fascinating?
What is fascinating?
Because I think everyone has a story and everyone has his own fascinating story. It's a big word to label fascination to a story. So maybe enlighten me. What do you think is fascinating? So maybe I can share something that really becomes fascinating.
No, of course. أكيد يعني first of all إحنا بنصور في Maison 69. You're the founder of Bascota والحاجات دي كلها. People are inspired by حاجات كده عشان they love these places. بتطلع منهم emotion كويسة. They all love them. فبيجوا فيها كتير و they enjoy it. يعني people who want to start their own thing, people who want to get a feel of what it takes to be successful in that industry مثلا, they'll view you as an inspiration.
So ask me the questions so people will learn things they don't know. Because if people came here, they already saw what is that. If you already interacted with any of the brands we created, they already have a feel and their own understanding of it.
Okay.
So what angle do you want me to share?
لا everything يعني نبدأ ممكن حتى بالstarting phases for every brand. You have many brands. What drives you إنك do you start a brand? يعني الidea بتجيلك spontaneously ولا بتجيلك through experiences?
Great question. I think brands have two sides for them, or businesses should have two sides of them. One side is the business side. That's why it's a business, which means it should generate money to make it sustainable and then to make it profitable and so on. And I learned that early on. Creativity feeds money and money feeds creativity. You can have the biggest ideas of the world. If the ideas do not make money, you will not be able to create more of it. Then you become a bohemian artist in a room. But even that artist, if his paintings did not sell, where are they going to go from there? We're creatures that love appreciation of one another. So that side, the first one, is a business. The second part is what I call a changing or adding a fabric to a culture in the society. When a business exists, it creates a value to people. It's not only to take money from people, it should give something back. That giving is in what people feel, is in what the perception of things. You know, the kid who's 5 years old, one of my favorite stories, a father came to Maison 69 with his kid who's 5. And you know, he came and he conveyed to me a beautiful thought. He said, "Thank you for making that kid believe he deserved that." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, at the age of 5, if this is what he understands, what a retail store looks like, that becomes his benchmark. So moving on his life, he will not accept less.
Okay.
He will ask for more.
Okay.
And it's something I never thought about. But what I always knew, that you have to offer something and is exchange for getting people's money. Not only the product that you give back to them. Otherwise, it becomes trading. It becomes the simple merchant ideology. I'm going to sell you this for 5. You tell me, no, I'm going to pay 4.5, and we bargain, and that's it. No, the difference between that moment and businesses and brands, that brands should offer something for people, culturally, emotionally, something that expand what they interact with as a product.
When you يعني أول big thing you started at Maison 69.
Yes. It used to be called 69 before.
I know.
When we first started.
دلوقتي 69 group.
Yes.
were you first in it عشان to make a bit of money ولا did you want to make people feel an emotion?
I think at that time I didn't have any of this. I was not that sophisticated because I started at the age of 20. And what do you know when you're 20? Literally very little, especially in my time. There was no the 7 million quotes on Instagram that tells you live your truth or say whatever. There was none of that. But my story was very simple. I wanted to express myself in what I like. And I realized what I like is to create environments and that people can be part of. And in that environment, I can sell things. And my beginning in that experience was in retail, was to do a menswear store and a women's wear store. That was as simple as naive as my idea. I studied architecture and I realized I wasn't good enough to be an architect. I loved the idea of an architecture. And that's a very misleading thought as well. You can love the idea of being something. Does not mean it's what you can do every day or you're good enough and talented enough to do it every day. And this is where I shifted.
Okay.
But at that time, I didn't have the sophistication of the thought. I'm going to do this to change the world. I didn't know that.
Okay. Maison كله is very different to any store بنشوفه بالذات في مصر يعني.
Yes.
يعني عندنا اللي هو TV section اللي هنا عندنا الستairs اللي بره. When you were designing this store, how did you brainstorm the ideas عشان كل ده is what makes your brand هو is what makes people want to
100%. That's what makes people interact with different environment than what they know. In reality, when we approached it, the first thought was we are not going to design a store.
Okay. What are we designing?
We want to design a space to bring the best out of people. And there was a quote by Rumi is what inspired everything. Beyond the ideas of right, beyond the ideas of wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there.
Okay.
So we said, what is that field that can be safe enough for people that there is no judgment on the right or wrong? I said that space is a home. Home should be that safe place for people. Unfortunately, it's not for everyone, but growing up as we were told, home should be that safe haven, that your rights and your wrongs are protected under that space and you can be anything you want. So we said, so we're going to create a home that welcomes people every day. So a home has a garden, hence we have the flower shop at the entrance of the store.
Okay.
A home has a bedroom, hence we have the beds in that space. A home is a living room, hence we have the TVs. Okay. So the idea started from there, to create spaces that express the ideology of rooms of a house.
عشان comfort.
علشان it is the safe place. That was the first idea. We wanted to take the ideology of a home, the dynamics of a home, and bring it to that space. The second part, which became more interesting, is how we create a value of each room that tell a cultural insight of the country. Something, if you are Egyptian and you live in Egypt, you can relate to. ومن هنا قلنا, we don't want anything to be decorative. And that's an interesting shift in the perception. Because in Egypt, when people see objects, they are decorative objects. But in the contemporary art world, objects are a story. Objects are telling a point of view. So every single art installation, when we worked with the artist, that's why we brought artists to do it. We could have put the TVs up, easy. We could have put the beds, we could have put things, and they become decorative. But we wanted artists telling a story. Why a TV in a living room matter?
Okay.
Why letters in an office of a house matters?
Okay.
So if you come, I always encourage people to read, because in front of every installation, we wrote what is the point of view of that art. Most of people come take pictures.
They don't read.
I get fascinated and I get impressed when I see people looking at signs and reading. I feel we delivered something. But even if you did not read, you felt something, because everything had an intention in that space. Nothing was put because it looks cool. Nothing. Literally. And people feel that. So even if you don't go to the level of the full understanding, you get a level of at least a full feeling of what is here.
لما حد create a brand, should they create it على their perception ولا على other people's perception? عشان that matters.
I don't think they should create it on any perception. They should create it for a reason first that matters. You know, if you're going to create a lollipop brand, make it of a value to people. They're going to buy the lollipop anyway, but the brand should offer people something else that make people feel something, whether it is the structure of the lollipop or the feeling that comes with the lollipop. And that's where the value comes between a transaction. So it doesn't become, I bought that and I left. It's another emotion that's around that. You know, when we do workshops with clients globally, we always ask people to write down the brands they remember from the very first age.
Yeah.
And I have CEOs and we have big notch people. And I said, go back to your childhood memory and write the first brand you remember. And everyone in their power suits, and they all start laughing because it reminds them of being kids or being teenagers and stuff. And when I ask everyone why that brand matters, no one write anything has to do with the functionality of it. No one.
إيه البراند بتاعتك؟
That I remember from it was the Reebok shoes.
Okay. Why?
Because when I asked my dad to buy it, كان دايما يقول لي لما تكبر شوية.
Did you buy it في الآخر؟
I bought it myself.
No.
But
It means something to you.
No, for me, it reminded me of one thing.
You're happy?
That it was something valuable. And I need to make sure I have a steady feet to buy it. Do I remember how cool was it? Do I remember anything about it? No. But I remember my relationship with my dad around that and the lessons he taught me around that. And everyone, I ask them these questions, they say the same thing. They say, oh, I wanted the Levi's jeans because everyone had it and I wanted to have it too. No one says anything about because it was an amazing, comfortable shoes. It was the most durable pair of them. No one says that.
So people remember emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People remember how they felt about something.
Good or bad, yeah.
Memory at a child age with brands is always good because it was something they wanted, you know, and the lessons around it, it always made them learn something. Maybe not at that age, but moving forward when they remember, that's why the memory is always a smile. When people say Adidas, some people Nike, and some people say McDonald's, and some people in other cultures say a different chocolate brand that exists in their culture, whatever they remember, there is always someone laughing. Because they remember their childhood.
Yeah. If someone's starting a brand دلوقتي and he's working مثلا a job and he wants to open another company to be his brand, his baby.
Yes.
Do you think in هو focusing on one thing is the best way to go, or do you think they can multitask?
You mean to keep their job and become a side business entrepreneur?
Yes.
I think it's capacity. I get clients, especially in New York. I get guys from Wall Street. They have big ideas. And they come and they say, oh, we believe this concept, if we can build it, it's going to change. There is a demand for it. And most probably they are right because they're exposed to so many ideas, so many businesses. So they have very good ideas. But very few of them can be entrepreneurs.
Don't have time.
It's not about time. It's about skill set.
Why?
Because it needs confidence. It needs courage. It needs dropping your monthly check. It needs dedication. It needs your own decision. When you are in a job, you have a lot of other skill sets, but you don't need to worry about these things because you're supported by a company, you're supported by a team. When you are an entrepreneur, in the beginning, it's a very lonely world because you have to do everything your own. You have to think yourself, and you lead people, and that's not for everyone, and it's not good or bad. So the only piece I learned, if you want to build something, believe enough in it and build the skill set to make it happen. Or if you don't, bring the right people around you to make it happen with you. But I haven't seen anyone who's creating the biggest companies in the world and he's still having a 9-to-5 job and that's like a side gig. No. Anything that you build, you have to roll your sleeves and build it. Otherwise, nothing comes out of a good idea. But great things comes out of hard work and sleepless nights and pressure and joy and dedication and people with you doing it.
So out of all your brands that you've built, يعني, which one is closest to your heart, يعني? Which one did you enjoy working on the most?
But let's differentiate between the brands I own myself.
The brands you own, I mean.
And because there's another set of brands that I did for clients.
Oh, I mean the brands that you owned.
The ones I own, it's not, I wouldn't say which is my favorite or not, because they all came from a place of I want to do them. I was not pressured to do any of them. I was not commissioned to build any of them. I did them because obviously I had a point of view that I want to bring to the world through that brand. So for me, all are exciting and they're all changing. But what fascinates me the most, the ones that people see quicker than others. Because there's something I learned as well. Me and you, we start a partnership today, and let's say we're going to do a budget travel company, an airline, a budgetary airline. The first thing people will see, cheap tickets to travel to Europe. But sometimes I'm fascinated when people come and see the details we did, the attention to the service that we're making, the smell of the soap in the bottom of that plane. And that's what fascinates me. Sometimes people see everything, and some people see only part of what you do. And I think that's always our challenge. People see what they want to see, but people as well see what we expressed better.
So is there a way to predict it?
No. But I think over years of experience, we're learning more and more how to communicate what we want people to receive.
The social media?
No. It is what you see in a space. It's what you see in a message, what you feel in a picture. I have an ideology. I believe in today's world, to experience anything, it has to be physical, digital, emotional. You need the three components.
But emotional ties it to physical or digital?
No, not really. It could be a word.
A word?
It could be a message. It could be a statement.
Okay.
You know, people create their own feelings about things. Maybe just reading a journalist writing a review about you. Maybe a blogger is putting a point of view about you. That creates a feeling for them. They didn't come to the place. They did not take a picture of the place themselves. They did not interact with the place, but they created an opinion. So physical, digital, emotional are three dimensions. In today's world, they have to connect to the same ideology. When one of them is failing more, it's not delivering the full message somewhere. So that's for me the difference in the brands. Certain brands we did, people saw it all. Certain brands we did not reach fully what we wanted to put out there.
Yeah, Octar brand reached what you wanted.
I mean, honestly, recently, I think when we opened Bascota, the flagship store, there was so much level details in the place, but they're all human details. For example, احنا حاطين نخلة, and we wanted to buy an old نخلة. النخلة عمرها 28 سنة or 29. So we decided to give it a name, Aziza. And we said, please say hi to her because it's living, it exists. And guess what? People saw that.
They said hi to her.
People take a picture of it. It means they noticed it. And some people reacted with it. Some people laughed, whatever, but they noticed that level. And it's very difficult nowadays to grab the attention of people to the small little details. But what proved to me, at least, or what has been very obvious to me in that space, that people are hungry for things that feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The space is very minimal in its design. It doesn't have anything flashy, but everything there was handmade. Everything there was really, the tiles in the store, we had the choice. نحن نروح نشتريهم جاهزين من براند مستوردة أو حدا من براند مصري جاهزين، أو نحن نعملهم مع حد بيعمل هاند ميد. الهاند ميد خد 2.5 شهور عشان يتعمل، والهاند ميد فيش ولا واحدة طلعت مظبوطة.
بس ده اللي خلاها nice عشان
it was a debate inside of us. It was a debate. When the outcome came, we said like, what is that? There is not a single one that looks like the other. How is that? And then we decided to buy into it. We said we wanted the truth of that. We wanted the handmade feel. We wanted the irregularity of shapes.
Are you never worried من حاجات كده when you start building a brand من small details اللي ممكن some people don't notice أصلا but some people do notice بتبقى حاجات different people aren't used to. Are you never
I love the imperfection of things.
Are you never scared of interpretation بتاع ناس?
Do you see, I'm avoiding to answer the word fear and scared.
Yeah.
So I'm answering to my own truth. I love the imperfection of things because it's a mirror of us. None of us were not created perfect, but we're so imperfect to be our own perfect.
Okay.
And I love to reflect that at things. So when things are not, that's why people say, Amir, you're an interior designer, you should design things. I tell them, I am miles away from being an interior designer. Interior designer, they follow discipline. Interior designer, they do perfect things, correct things. They understand scale and spaces and measurements. I don't relate to that. I consider them, of course, because I'm building a place and I want it to function. But that's not what guide me. What guide me is what we want to express.
What comes first? What you think ولا برضو you have to يعني في guidelines معينة لازم تتعمل in terms of مثلا
You mean in designing a place?
مثلا or designing a brand?
It is the human experience around it. I start from how people are going to interact with that, how I want people to live in that place, how I want people to be part of that. The power of spaces, they are not monuments. Even monuments, they were created in the old age to host people, to host worshippers. Even here, whether it's a store, a hotel that we create, a retail, real estate destination, a housing project, it's all about people are going to be part of it. Hatta if you're creating a statue that themselves that you're going to put in the middle of a square, it's because people are going to go around it.
Right.
So nothing exists alone. So I start from that place. I know people say, oh, so you create a human experience or people experience. I hate that word. It's not about the experience. It's about how people feel about something. Nothing stands out so on. Even when people put a statue in the middle of a square, that statue is for people to go around it. It's people to observe it. So for us, it's the same thing. Whatever we create, even small or big, it's about how people are going to be part of it. That's where we start. I know a lot of architects do the same. A lot of designers do the same. I think the difference, we don't have the knowledge. We are not that educated. We are not that sophisticated. We don't have those books that we learn things. For us, it's intuitive. For us, it is a navigation process that led by curiosity and a sense of wonder. And that's what guides us in anything we do.
ايه أكتر emotions do you think is good to play on when someone is starting a brand يعني in order to play on their يعني clients?
You know, I took a course, I think 8 years ago. It was an anthropology course. And I always remember what the professor said. He said there is 2 emotions that lead all of us, fear and love. These are the 2 emotions that underneath these 2 emotions, everything else comes. But fear and love are the top emotions. Very easy to use fear. Very difficult to use love.
Why?
If we are sitting now and we heard something broke somewhere, me and you will be like,
Yeah.
صح? We'll react because it creates fear. If me and you are sitting here and 2 people are kissing each other somewhere else, we're good.
مش قوي احنا في مصر.
You know what I mean?
أيوة.
What I'm trying to say is fear is easier to control situations. It's easier to grab attention. Love is more difficult. So we learned we need to start from the place of love. Then we see what emotions under the umbrella of love that will get people interested.
Like ايه?
Any emotion under love, joy, happy, excitement, wonder. These are all emotions that comes with the positive connotations.
You know, what drive people in here to be interested in a brand أصلا.
To be interested in anything, not just a brand, to be interested in anything. You know, people want to engage with things. People don't want to be told things. People are not interested for things to be thrown at them. The old world of retail was about creating systems that when you go in a place, it tells you there is a million of signs telling you things. Buy me, buy 2 for 1. It was all things pushing. I don't relate to that. I relate more to the sense of discovery, the sense of wonder, to coming the first time to a place and you don't have to buy anything. But if you enjoy it, you will come back again.
And maybe buy something.
But again, if I like something, it means it makes me feel good. When I am feeling good, when I'm state of good, all my good senses are functioning. So the sense of wanting to look good, the sensing of happy, the sense of I want to treat someone with me to something, this is all valid.
So for you, looking at أي من البراندز بتوع your clients or any of your brands, how do you think this brand is successful? يعني what makes a successful brand?
Success is a very big word.
Success for you
is a very big word, even for me. For me, success is if I can bring the point of view I wanted to life. That for me is the optimum of success as a start. That if I have an idea or if I'm working with a client and he has an idea and he doesn't know how to bring it to life and we help them to bring it to life, for me, that's the first moment of success because we unleashed the potential of something. Either I unleashed your idea to the world or we unleashed our simple idea to life. So it feels like, it's like a labor. When the baby comes to the world, that's success, optimum success. In that moment, you're not thinking how this kid gonna graduate from what college. No,
you appreciate
it's coming to life. That's the first moment of success. And then you go through the stages exactly as how the kid will grow. They go to school first, then to university, then they get married, then they have another kid, and the cycle, and each phase, you measure its success differently.
Would you say in each brand, it delivers a different story in your case, in the brands that you
100%. It has to deliver a true story. It has to deliver a true point of view.
To be authentic.
Otherwise, it's a made-up story. And people are not interested in made-up stories.
How can they tell?
People feel.
عشان كده you play on emotions of people.
I don't play. I create the stage for people to feel things.
Okay.
I create the environment for people to feel whatever they want to feel. When you say play, it means we manipulate people. It doesn't work. It works for a short period of time. It works with the old school of marketing things. But I believe in today's world, people are so hungry to connect to something that has truth to it, that has a feeling to it, that has a meaning to them in it. I'm not saying that when people go to the grocery store, they have all these agendas in their minds at all. But they are going to feed themselves something good, to feel better.
Do you think physical interactions are better مع a brand ولا digital?
But pre the digital era, I would always say physical is important. But digital brands came and people reacted to it. The power of digital brands, it's not about the feeling, but it's about the convenience. It's click and you get what you want. But we've been seeing over the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of digital brands are creating physical spaces because they want to meet their clients in an environment. They want to see them. They want to have a conversation with them.
Physical is more long lasting,
I'm not sure the durability or how long things are, but I'm saying clearly digital brands are creating physical spaces because they're realizing it's not enough to create content on social. It's not enough. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but it's not enough. But again, it is the truth and the point of view of the founders of these companies. What kind of relation they want to build.
Okay. If you were to give one piece of advice to someone watching this who's still starting up their life, where they're still starting their own business.
I want someone to give me an advice. I need an advice.
We all need advice. But from your perspective, from your journey, what advice would you give to someone?
I don't think I'm in stage of life yet to be able to give an advice. But I think I'm in stage where I'm happy to answer a point of view about something. And when people ask me about a specific point of view, I have an answer that I believe in, that I believe it's my truth that I can share. But just to give a generic advice, I don't think I'm in that space of wisdom or sophistication just to give people, you need to do this or you need to do that. I don't think one thing works for everyone. I don't think that. I witness people doing things the opposite of anything I've seen, and it worked. So I think it's everyone has his own capacity, and that's the power when people live their own truth. In your truth, there is power. If you connect to that power, things might happen to your own truth and to your own capacity.
Okay.
If that considered an advice, then
it's
advice.
This advice very much is. أنا أسأل السؤال اللي بحب دايما أسأله ل everyone who does an episode معايا. لو أنت صحيت فجأة ولقيت إن all this journey has been a dream, what would you do?
What a lovely dream.
What a lovely
dream.
كله بيقول نفس الإجابة.
Yeah?
كله بيقول نفس
What a
الإجابة.
lovely dream.
بس دي أكتر واحدة enthusiastic.
Yeah. What do you want me to answer?
يعني would you do the same all over again, or would you do something a bit differently?
For sure, I would have done it differently if I didn't enjoy it as it is. I love my journey. I'm very grateful to my journey. And I think it made me who I am today. So would I want to change who I am today? I don't think so.
But you would do it all over again?
I think anyone who built something on his own, it becomes his own. And I think the tricky part, are you satisfied enough with it or not? Because I met people in their journeys are not satisfied with where they're landing. And that's a harsh feeling. That's a tough one. Because if you worked hard and you went somewhere, but Sarah, I believe, as they say, الدنيا أرزاق. And if you're grateful to what you have, that becomes your own. Maybe it's small. Maybe mine is small. But for me, it's big. And that's enough. But if I'm going to compare, I've been working for 5 or 25 years now. And I saw other people who work for 25 years and where they are, what is that means, where they are? Is it financial? Is it intellectual? Is it status? Is it fame? What is it?
It differs.
The only thing I know, I mind my own business. I'm not interested to see who did what. Because if you decided to do that, then everyone will question a lot in their own journey. But if you're just happy with what you have, that makes it the most fantastic journey.
I think you don't give you enough you don't give yourself enough credit على موضوع wisdom. You're very wise وتقول advice كله I'm sure إن كله اللي بيتفرج عليه is going to find fascinating. Yeah.
But maybe that's the gift. I don't see it as, I see it as my own way of life.
Your own truth.
My own truth. And it's very simple. It comes from a very simple place.
I promise you it's very good advice.
Yani, I shared with you earlier, I was not lucky to read 700 books. I was not the smartest to attend the best schools in the world. I never did MBAs. I didn't do masters. I didn't study anything that I do. I didn't study marketing. I didn't study branding. I didn't study psychology. I didn't study anything because I've met the people who study these things and I'm always in awe when I meet them. Because they say everything. I'm hungry to learn, but I never got the chance to learn. Not because my situations were not there. No, I could have done that. But I realized my learning is not coming from the legitimate way of learnings. I don't read books, but I read a lot of publications. And that's my way of learning. Learning the most is from people. What people do, what people say, how people behave, that shapes who I am. So in that sense, I don't relate to the classical questions when people tell me, what advice can you give? Or what did you learn? Because for me, it's a very simple mind that talks and do things my way.
Do you think in having a degree is more important or having actual human interaction like you just did? Or does it differ from one person to another?
Once I was in an interview once and I said a big statement that a lot of people made fun of it and some people celebrated, some people killed it. I said, Knowledge is not important. Drive is more important. I would rephrase that. Knowledge is important because it facilitates things. But what is more important is the drive. When you want to get somewhere, that drive makes you learn, makes you knock on doors, makes you go and ask questions. When you know, you lose a lot of that because you think you know. You know, like if I know how to operate that TV, I will know what I can do with that TV. When I don't know, I will play with a lot of things that make me discover other things in that TV that the person cannot.
We'll never discover.
Will never discover.
The art of not knowing.
The art of not knowing. There is a power to that.
It makes you discover.
I'm not saying that people should study nothing or do not know, but I'm saying there is a power to a beginning. There is a power to naivety. There is a power when the mind is empty.
When does it end?
I don't think it ever ends because we're always learning. We're always learning till the day we leave that planet. We will always learning something. And it's up to you to say, I learned enough or not. But in reality, I think the learning never stops. As long as that you're seeking that, as long as you want that. Otherwise, innovation would have stopped. You know, we would have never had the technology we're having today. If people believed at the era of the Nokia phone was enough.
Trial and error.
You know, so people keep reinventing things. So for me, as I shared, ignorance is very important. And I'm not saying ignorance as illiterate. Ignorance as not knowing, not having enough tools, not having enough information. Sometimes it is a blessing because it makes the real intuition inside of us and the real survivor inside of us create.
Was there ever a time where you wanted to change your career completely?
Well, I changed my career. I studied architecture, but I never. After that, no. After that, I just kept on evolving. I mean, the second turning point, I think it was in 2010 when I was doing retail and I said, you know what, I want to do what I do to people. I want to build brands for other people. I want to create other things. And that's when I moved to New York. I said, I want to use what I have. But was it a direct decision? No, things led to things. You know, it's not like I woke up in the morning and said, I want to open that agency and be that. No, none of what I achieved in my life was a long-term plan. Things lead me to things, but I'm open to things as well. And sometimes it moves me and I say, we want to do that. And sometimes the opportunity is there, but it doesn't click. So that's another thing. We don't function on business opportunities. We function on big ideas that we want to bring to life.
So how important is traveling, exposing yourself to new places in terms of...
That's my school. That's my learning school.
Traveling.
And I feel very comfortable in the most uncomfortable situations. I love when a place that they don't speak the language I speak. I love when I'm in a place I've not seen before. I love in a place when my GPS is not working.
What has been the most inspirational place you've been, country?
I mean...
How different,
you know, there is a question that actually I don't like at all. When people coming to New York and they send me a message before coming, say, Amir, can you send us the list of restaurants of where to go? Can you send us the list of hotels where to stay? And I say, you know what? We have so many different opinions of what we want to do. My hotel that I might see the most interesting is not the one you want at all. Or the restaurant I think the most fascinating is not the one. And I think that's the beauty of life and the beauty of countries. I might go to Korea and I think it's the most amazing thing. And I might give that recommendation to you. And you go and you said, what's that? So I would answer the question differently if you ask me about a specific place. Because in every place gave me something. Because on all of them, I think I went to Ghana 2 years ago. And it's a country, literally, I did not find anything there. There was nothing of what we know. There was not the coolest restaurant. There was not whatever. There was not the museum. There was not. But it was one of my most enjoyable trips ever. we call the lack of nothing. But I was in a state of mind, and I was with people that we celebrated our own company, that we celebrated the joy of each other, and that becomes the memory of me of what Ghana is about.
So how was New York? When you first moved there? I think you live there now.
I always, I'm very grateful to New York because I have an ideology. I was born in the UK. So I always say, Egypt gave me my heart. The UK gave me my creativity, and the US or New York gave me my mind. That's closed my circle. My sense of creativity is very British, because that's where I grew up, and that's what I learned, that type of creativity. Egypt gave me all the right, beautiful feelings. This is where I met all the people that they had unconditional love. It's a very warm culture, and people exchange that. And then New York gave me my maturity of putting things together, and they should work. No one is in New York to be in New York for no reason. Everyone in New York is for a reason. And that makes everyone is in a constant state of progression, in a constant state of creating, in a constant state of making big ideas.
عشان عندهم purpose.
Everyone is there for that reason. No one is there is to walk in the park. Go live in Switzerland. So that's what I am very grateful to New York. It brings the best out of me from an intellectual point of view. It connected my creativity. It connected my own rich cultural emotions and feelings to a dynamics of a business.
Were you linked that مع creativity بتاعت UK و
Yes.
the feelings?
It became the triangle for me. It closed the triangle.
Okay. Amir, this has been a very, very, very lovely episode to film with you. I'm sure it is very inspiration for a lot of people.
I hope that's the intention. Usually when I
yes.
come sitting on a chair with any interviewer, I always wish what we say can travel or deliver something to anyone.
I think it definitely will, عشان I know in I know in a lot of people do view you as an inspiration, whether you like to believe that or not. A lot of people do actually. منهم أنا.
But why?
Why?
Yes.
عشان I have a similar story to you في الأول.
Okay.
أنا originally كنت architect و I'm making my way into a career progression.
So is my inspiration is a rebel? And am I becoming an icon for being a rebel?
I made that transition أصلا before I even knew you were an architect originally أصلا. بس لا, it's an inspiration.
I have all the respect for architects. I admire what they do that I couldn't do.
وأنا برضو والله.
And I always appreciate when people acknowledge what they want and they shift that. And when you reach out to me to do that, as I said, I didn't check what you do. I wasn't keen to see the question that you sent me before because I was interested in this.
Yes. I hope it was interesting.
You put, I think it should be more interesting for the people who are going to watch us.
100%.
We enjoyed our time.
I enjoyed it.
What's matter is everyone that they connect to something of what we said.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very
I
much.
appreciate it much. Thank you.
My thoughts.